Hey everyone, today I'll be showing you how to make a polymer clay sand dollar such as this one shown here. To make this you will need some sort of reference photo, or if not, you can take a picture of my own sand dollar and use that. I'm using a sand dollar that I've already made. You're also going to need some dotting tools. If you don't have these, you can use a bobby pin or the edge of a needle. And if you have this set, get the green one and the pink one out because those are going to be the right size. You're also going to need some sort of tool to cut your clay. In my case, I'm using an X-Acto knife. You're also going to need some sort of tool with a sharp end, so I'm using a needle tool. And last but not least, you're going to need some white polymer clay. I'm using one by Primo, so let's get started. So before you even start, you need to make sure that your clay and your work surface are clean, as well as your hands. So to clean your hands, use some baby wipes or wash with warm soap and water and then wipe it off with a paper towel or just a normal towel. And then for the surface, just make sure that you remove the clay residue that's on there using some scrap clay. And then you can wipe it down with some wet paper towel, but make sure that the surface is dry before you start because polymer clay doesn't react well with water. And then for the clay itself, if you have like little pieces of clay inside your main piece of clay, just make sure to scrape it out with some sort of tool like an X-Acto knife or a needle tool and just get out those small little pieces of clay. But it doesn't have to be perfect because at the end, you can always remove like little scrap pieces of clay. And I'll probably make a separate video on how to clean up your clay charms once they're done and baked. So just stay tuned for that. So let's get started. So you're going to start off by taking your white piece of clay and roll it into a sphere. And then you're going to go ahead and just kind of flatten it. So once you've flattened it, you're going to go ahead and start kind of making it into a dome shape. So start pressing down only on the corners, but don't press down on the middle that much. So you kind of flatten the middle section, but you kind of pull down the edges. And it doesn't matter if it's super bumpy. In fact, the more bumpy it is, the more realistic it's going to look. So since this is not really like a cartoon kind of charm, it's more like a real charm, that's totally fine. So once you've made it nice and bumpy and rugged on the edges, you're going to go ahead and take your dotting tool and you're just going to kind of start to mess up the edges further. So just take little chunks out at the sides, like rub back and forth to create this kind of rugged texture. And then you can press in a section to make it look more irregular. So here's what it looks like. And then smooth it out a little bit so it doesn't look too rugged. And then you can go in with your smaller dotting tool, or actually your needle tool, and just kind of start picking at the edges a little bit to mess it up some more. Okay, and then what you're going to do now is you're going to start sketching out the design. So you're going to start off with a flower in the center because when you want to create an accurate drawing, you always want to start in the middle. So create the 5 petals. So I'm not going to edit this out. I'm actually going to just show you. You can fast forward if you want to skip this part. And I'm going to switch to my smaller dotting tool because I think it'll turn out better if it's not too rugged already. So just start drawing out the flower. and leave a little space for the center. So just sketch in a circle. Then you're going to also sketch out the little circle holes that are on the edges of the flowers. So there's one on this side, one on this side, and then one here. And remember, it doesn't have to be perfect. Okay, and then what you're going to do next is you're going to start adding details to the flower. So you're going to go ahead and start making small little slash marks. So create small little slash marks by going like in small little jagged motions. Almost like you're drawing a Christmas tree, but outwards. So keep going until you finish the entire flower. So go ahead and smooth out any sections that look a little bit too bumpy or rough. And then before you start cutting out the holes, finish up the texture. So I'm just creating a lot of bumps on the surface of the Sandollar itself. So just kind of massage it in with your tool. Begin to carve out the little holes that you made earlier. So go ahead and take your needle and start shaping the hole that you want to make. Get your X-Acto knife and create a deeper hole. Like so. So you're just going to go all the way around until you have holes on all the little indents that you made. So once you do that, it'll look something like this, and you want the holes to be more obvious. So what you do is you go on the back part and enlarge in the holes. And then since the front will get a little bit messed with, you're going to go ahead and just smooth it out. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take your tool and you're going to make the flower more obvious. So you're going to just go in between where the little dashes that you made, and you're just going to rub on the surface so that you create the little petals of the flower. And don't go too obvious, otherwise your flower might get a little bit messed up. And then don't forget to create the center. And once you've done that, that's pretty much it. And you can just keep adding more texture, or you can leave it as it is. Either way is fine. And the way on this one that I got this kind of texture, the reason why on this one the texture is showing up so much is because I glazed it. Once you glaze it, it'll be much more obvious. So follow the instructions on your clay package and put it in the oven at the temperature and the baking time that the package says. And then once you take it out, let it cool, and then you can glaze it. So I hope you guys all enjoyed this video, and please don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. Bye guys!